And we're live. Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Langer at the Mic Live. We are here live both on Twitter and on YouTube, and thank you for joining the show. And today we will preview this week 11 matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings. I'm not wearing red because I'm a Republican or because I'm a 49ers fan. I just happen to be wearing red today for my workout. But anyway, let's get into this. First things first, the Cowboys last year. They lost to the Vikings in a November matchup, 28-24 on Sunday Night Football. And also, if you think back to 1975, the Cowboys won off a Hail Mary by Drew Pearson, or by Captain Roger Staubach to Drew Pearson, and that's, just you got to think of that since Kyler Murray did the same thing to DeAndre Hopkins this past weekend in that game against Buffalo. So just thought I'd bring that up. Right, I felt like I had to bring that up ahead of this matchup. But now, the Vikings coming in here at 4-5 off a win on Monday Night Football on a short week against the Bears, and obviously the Cowboys at 2-7 coming off their bye. We're going to talk about things to get excited about. Not too much an in-depth full preview like we usually do, but we'll talk about things to get excited about in this matchup. So let's start on the Cowboys on the offensive side of the ball here. The Vikings, in terms of their defense, they're 20th ranked in terms of yardage overall. They have the 20th ranked defense, 24th against the pass, 13th against the run. So they're meh on defense at best, I would say. Look, they have they really rebuilt their secondary in the offseason and in the draft. I would say that, Danielle Hunter, one of their best pass rushers, or their best pass rusher, is on injured reserve right now. I would say Harrison Smith on the Vikings defensive side is really the guy that's I'm most worried about, who can make the most plays for Minnesota. But yeah, also like I said, the Vikings basically rebuilt their secondary in the draft in the offseason, bringing in Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler. Dantzler is questionable, and actually Dantzler is a guy that a lot of the guys looked at for the Cowboys side. But yeah, just they're a young secondary and not quite what they were on defense about 2 or 3 years ago. And this year, Minnesota, the Vikings, they've beaten Houston, the Lions, the Bears, like I said, and the Packers in that upset game at Lambeau Field a few weeks ago. So again, let's get to the Cowboys on the offensive side and how they can attack this. My question is, or what I guess you could look forward to, is how will Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz, how will the Cowboys attack this young Minnesota secondary? There will definitely be opportunities there, but again, it all comes down to whether the Cowboys can protect Andy Dalton. Terrence Steele at right tackle is inevitable. He will just be Terrence Steele and give up plays, give up pressures in terms of pass blocking, and just not be able to wash people out in the run game. So it's a question of, will he be less bad? We'll see. But if he is, then honestly, with Joe Looney at center, Zach Martin right guard, Connor Williams, and even Cam Irving hasn't been too bad at left tackle, filling in for Tyron Smith and Brandon Knight. So I think if the Cowboys, there will be opportunities for the Cowboys to throw the ball here for Andy Dalton, who will likely get his first start coming off injured or the COVID-19 reserve list and the concussion protocol. There will be opportunities for Andy Dalton in this one if he can be protected. So this could be a big game for Andy Dalton in terms of, look, is he auditioning for his next team to potentially get a starting role next year, maybe with the Chicago Bears? I don't know. I don't, maybe. I don't think so. I think that if Dalton is good, but not too good, maybe he could be a cheap backup option for the Cowboys next year. Obviously, if Garrett Gilbert gets another shot this year and he outperforms Dalton, well, then the Cowboys should likely try to keep Gilbert and try to develop him. But it's always nice to have a veteran backup, especially if whether it's Dak next year. I like to think it would be Dak coming back next year, or even if the Cowboys decide to draft a rookie quarterback, which we'll come back to, of course. But yeah, so again, Terrence Steele, inevitable at right tackle. And now here's the big question for me is can the Cowboys, can Zeke outrun Tony Pollard in the run game? Can Ezekiel Elliott, who has been outrushed by Tony Pollard in the Steelers game, can Ezekiel Elliott outrun Tony Pollard? That's a serious question. Zeke on the season has 572 yards rushing. On 150 attempts, that's under 4 yards a carry, 3.8 yards per attempt. And only one big run so far this year, Ezekiel Elliott has. Tony Pollard, 206 yards on 47 attempts. So pretty much under half as many carries as Zeke. But Tony Pollard is averaging 4.4 yards per carry, and he has two big runs. So again, we'll see if Zeke can outrun Tony Pollard in this game. Like I said, Vikings against the run, so there could be opportunities for that as well, especially if the offensive line plays decently well. So that's on the offensive side. Now let's look at the defense now. So here's where I would say is the biggest opportunity for moral victories for the Cowboys here. Because the Vikings are bringing in Dalvin Cook, the league's leading rusher, who with 954 rushing yards on the season, 5 explosive runs of greater than 20 yards. He also leads the league in rushing touchdowns with 12. So with the way that Neville Gallimore and Leighton Vander Esch and DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory and sort of even Alden Smith last 2 weeks ago against the Steelers, the way they played, they kept the Steelers to, I think it was under 75 yards rushing. I mean, the Steelers are not with James Conner, they're not a bona fide rushing team. But how will this defense perform up to the challenge of dealing with Dalvin Cook? Can they limit? They're not going to stop Dalvin Cook, but can they limit Dalvin Cook? That would be a huge moral victory if they can do that. I want to see Neville Gallimore build off his performance from last week against 2 weeks ago against the Steelers, again, where he had multiple pressures. He had a huge hit on Ben Roethlisberger. He blew up a couple of big plays on defense there from his defensive tackle position. So the Cowboys really can use that. Also, Justin Hamilton in the middle, of course. Let's just see how the middle of this defense will handle Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota running game. Also, good news, Cheeto, although Trayvon Diggs, yes, will miss his first game due to his the broken bone in his foot. He will, and he's on IR now, but Cheeto Uzie will be back. So how will Cheeto Uzie, Anthony Brown, and Jordan Lewis do? How will they be able to cover Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen? And yeah, will they be able to limit the Vikings passing attack? Because look, can they make Kirk Cousins play like Kirk Cousins? I mean, he hasn't been terrible this year. You got to give him credit because right now Kirk Cousins has 17 touchdowns, 11 picks, 8.8 yards per attempt, and a quarterback rating of 98.1. So can the Cowboys limit if the Cowboys can stop Dalvin Cook or limit Dalvin Cook? How will that affect Kirk Cousins? We will see. Overall, just big picture. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy again this year. You can't really judge him when you lose your 2 starting tackles, your star middle linebacker Leighton Vander Esch, and also just going back a second, Jalen Smith. Of course, you want to see Jalen Smith have a good game in this one. He will be really crucial. His ability to stop the Minnesota running game, but again, can he? I don't know. But I would put it more on Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, but we'll see what Jalen Smith can do. But anyway, going back to Mike McCarthy now, you got to give him a pass on this year because, again, when you lose your 2 offensive tackles, your best corner, even though Cheeto wasn't a Pro Bowler, but he's still a starting caliber corner in the NFL. You lose Cheeto for a lot of time. You lose Anthony Brown for a lot of time. You have to put in Trayvon Diggs to cover number 1 receivers. You lose Leighton Vander Esch. You lose Dak Prescott, of course. You lose Tristan Hill, and so on and so forth. So, again, but that being said, Mike McCarthy is 9-4 as a head coach coming off the bye week. So how does that play into effect? We'll see. But anyway, best case scenario for the Cowboys in this game, very simple. We got to keep cheering for Team Tank. Really got to maximize. It's all about maximizing your resources in a lost season because the Cowboys, again, if you're cheering for the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl this year, you will be greatly, greatly disappointed. You might as well cheer for the New York Jets to win the Super Bowl. Okay, maybe not the New York Jets, but yeah, just Team Tank. For Team Tank to live on, the Cowboys just have to keep losing these games, but make it exciting for us. Don't get obliterated like in Arizona or at Washington or against Arizona at home or at Washington, but show up to play hard, give us a good football game, just like that one against the Steelers, but ultimately find a way to lose. So Again, to me, the best moral victory in this game is the Cowboys limit Dalvin Cook to under 100 yards rushing, or even under 125 yards rushing would be, I think, a win in my eyes. Maybe limit him to 1 touchdown and lose something like 23-21, because that means you force the Vikings to kick mostly field goals. And on offense, you got in the end zone likely 3 times if you score 21 points. But that to me is the best case scenario in this game. Lose 23-21 off a game winner from former Cowboy Dan Bailey. And my prediction, will that happen? It could, but I think it will be 24-20 for Minnesota. It might be a little bit cleaner offensively for the Vikings. And I can even say 27-20 for the Vikings. But that's pretty much it. Also, of course, we got to be scoreboard watching this weekend. The Cowboys fans need the Eagles to beat the Browns to keep the division out of reach, because we don't want the Cowboys to be anywhere close to winning the division and risk hosting a home playoff game and getting crushed by the Bucs in the wild card round. So I don't want to have to think about that. So Cowboys fans need to cheer for the Eagles against the Browns. Just put us out of our misery, Philly, please. That sounds really weird because, we want Philly to be the one getting punted in the wild card round. But anyway, we want Houston over New England. Houston hosts the Patriots at home, even though the Patriots did shut down the Ravens at home in that monsoon in New England there in Foxborough. Hey, maybe Deshaun could figure it out in a non-monsoon or windy environment in the comforts of NRG Stadium in Houston there, and they can somehow beat the Patriots. I'd like to see that happen last year, so why can't that happen again? We'll see. We need Jacksonville over Pittsburgh somehow, some way. Jaguars, Jake Luton. I don't know if Gardner Minshew's coming back yet, but if it's Jake Luton, just find a way, Jacksonville, to upset the Steelers somehow. Atlanta over the Saints is interesting because they don't have Breeze starting, so it'll be, and they just announced today that it will be Taysom Hill getting the start under center for the Atlanta Falcons. So for the Saints. So that's a decent chance for the Falcons to actually win there. I mean, the Falcons aren't too much of a concern because they're well ahead. They're, I think, a game and a half ahead of the Cowboys but at this point, but still, it would just be nice for them to stay ahead. We need the Washington football team ideally over the Cincinnati Bengals, but again, the Bengals are only like a game and a half ahead of the Cowboys anyway. So, just Washington would be still nice to have them take that one game ahead of the Cowboys. And then LA Chargers over Jets. I mean, look, the Jets are a lost cause. Like, they're probably not going to win a game this year. If the Cowboys probably have like very, very little to no chance of getting Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 overall pick anyway. So, so just Chargers over Jets and get us close to that number 2 spot as possible. And just honestly, the whole point of this Cowboys season needs to be about getting as many resources as possible. Get as high in that draft board as possible. And whether you do, again, I've kind of maybe realized that it is probably the safer option to pay Dak in terms of not risking downgrading a quarterback play. But you got to do, if the Cowboys are in a position to draft Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it won't likely be Trevor Lawrence, but if they can draft Justin Fields, they got to do their homework. I know Jerry Jones said, or it was Stephen Jones last week said that it's not an option to look at quarterback in the draft. But I mean, if they're in a position to potentially draft Justin Fields, they got to do their homework. And at the very least, use their position as leverage for the Giants or whoever's behind them, because a lot of teams are going to potentially need a quarterback in this draft. So get that high draft pick and leverage whichever team that wants to trade up with them. Rip a team off, like I said, the Giants, Washington football team, could be the Vikings, even the Vikings if they finish low enough. It probably won't be the case, but Jacksonville, if you could somehow finish ahead of them, leverage them to give you picks, trade down, and rebuild this defense, and also get offensive line depth, and so on and so forth. But this has been my Cowboys versus Vikings preview. As usual, make sure you're subscribed, give a big thumbs up on this video, and also, as you could tell, November, we have 10 days left of November. I got this nice handlebar stash growing in. So if you could donate to my cause, that would be greatly appreciated. I will add that link in the description below. Obviously, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram as well. I'll include my handles in the description below. But yeah, this has been a Langer at the Mic live Cowboys versus Vikings preview. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time.